First story. Remaining friends during a separation. My wife, 40F, and I, 36M, of 12 years married have decided that we have grown apart and to separate. We discussed it for a while but neither of us were acting on it. Now, she has recently told me she needs to separate from me, and she needs to find herself again and deal with her trauma from before me, and also things that happened while we were married with her professionals. We also have a 10-year-old son I should mention. Over the last year we have truly drifted apart, and both have much trauma that we are not dealing with, not all from our marriage though. In the beginning of how we arrived to this separation, started about 3 years ago. We decided to sleep in separate bedrooms because of my early morning hour wake-ups, and I shake the house when I snore. But after a year we both made our separate bedrooms into places to escape from the world, and it became a norm. We never slept in the same bed anymore for over the last 2 years, but for the most part, we were always pleasant with each other, had sex fairly often, hung out around the fire, but we really lost our connection to be emotionally there for one another. She got into discovering herself more over the last year, finally feeling safe enough to build up some friendships around the community, took a big interest in getting fit, and I kept busy with my hobbies of long-distance running and other personal endeavors. We were both growing as individuals with our own separate interests and friends but not together. She finally started to look happy and confident in life. She glowed in my eyes, looking sexy and confident as ever. I was very proud to see her break out of her shell of depression. But I can admit I never wanted to bring up past issues or deal with being there for her when she was sad or emotional because I didn't want to deal with it. I was and am still dealing with my own shit from life. This really hurt her and she had to learn how to deal without me. I am personally dealing with depression and anxiety from other things not caused by her, and she also has similar, but worse off mental health trauma from life. So here we are now. We have decided to be friends, be there for our son, and try to help each other heal during the separation. She found a house on her own and entered into an agreement without consulting me as she was afraid of hurting me, but she told me the next day. I will agree I still feel extremely blindsided and wish I could have been involved in the decision-making process to try and fix things, but what's done is done. The financial penalty of going back on a 1-year lease would be very bad financially for us. She will be renting a house 5 minutes away so our son is still in the same school and bus route. We have the ability to be very easygoing with one another, but still this hurts so much. I've spent the last several days crying and feeling broken and betrayed, but I wholeheartedly understand why this has happened. I agree with her that we need help and individually we are two broken people. But this feeling of loss is so hard. I can't help but question myself and that I could have done more. I do agree that space will be best, but it hurts so bad and I seem to cry every moment. Yesterday we told our son, who for his age is very mature, but it broke him. We have agreed that after 1 year, we can try and revisit the possibility of coming back together if we have dealt with our issues and trauma, found ourselves in life, and learned to be better support systems for each other through couples counseling. But if not and we aren't feeling it anymore, to just move on and settle a divorce and to try and remain close friends for our son, and because generally we do like each other as good people. So here's where I'm looking for advice. Our plan is to respect boundaries of this separation, but also still be there for one another in need, and our son. I would like to make it known that we are both really great and supportive parents on our own. But at times when our differences come up it can really interfere with our focus on parenting, which can affect our son's happiness when he sees us arguing. So far we are going through this politely, and are on great talking terms, and have peacefully agreed to proceed on a separation agreement with no lawyers or mediation, handling the banking, cars etc. ourselves. She wants me to keep the house and we can still help each other financially. If it doesn't work out in the end, I will sell the house and give her 50% of the sale at the time, which I feel is fair. No custody issues either. Our son can come and go as he pleases from our places, but he will need to be at her place each weeknight as I can't put him on the bus for school because of work. We have agreed to still spend birthdays and other holidays together, and even taking our son for hikes and bike rides once in a while. I will even be helping her move out October 1st with friends. We will be living together in the same home for the next 40 days or so until her move date. We have agreed that once in a while we can still have family meals together at each other's homes, but this won't be the norm and there will still be boundaries. This isn't the typical separation where people hate one another. We both still love each other so much but realize we are very different in many ways, and we can both see we are holding each other back from trying to heal and find ourselves again. What are all your thoughts? Is it okay or normal to remain friends with my now ex-wife during the separation and even after a divorce? Is this healthy? Healthy for us, healthy for our son to see two parents still in love but in different homes. Is this a bad idea? Ultimately, we still very much care and respect one another. Lastly, before anyone says anything, neither of us are interested in anyone else and have agreed to keep committed to each other in that area. We may even still try and keep a friends with benefits mentality with each other once in a while, but to keep our emotions aside so to not give rise to false hope, as we both agreed we still have physical needs and want to keep that type of stuff between each other until we know for sure we are done for good or not. Thoughts? Update. Meeting with the bank in Ontario. 36M. Here. It's been 2 months since we separated, but she didn't officially move out until October 1st. She told me last week that she knows we are finished and there is no hope. I cried hard that night. Yes, I cry. I do a lot. I'm a man who wears his emotions on his sleeve. We went from very financially stable family, would have been debt-free in 8 years, to now where I'm in $18,000 in debt on my line of credit, and I'm trying to keep the home. The market in Kent West is through the roof now. Our house tripled in value in 8 years, but I don't want to lose it. I meet with the bank tomorrow to discuss if my salary can afford this home. We raised our 10-year-old in it. It has so many good memories and I've put all my blood, sweat and tears into it. I've gone through every emotion on the spectrum in the last 2 months, I think. But I sit with sadness every day now. When I go to bed and when I wake up still sad and lonely. I've been trying to keep up with my running and workouts to stay distracted, but it's not helping. Meditation is a bit though. Anyone else in the Ontario area that has any advice when it comes to buying out their ex from a mortgage in this province, or wants to just chat if you're going through something similar? I'm reading up so much about navigating separation and divorce in this province, but I'm sure there is more to learn. Juggling all this admin, while trying to be a dad, go to work every day and just put on a face for everyone is killing me inside. Update. Anyone from Ontario, Canada? This year has really rocked me. My ex of a 12-year marriage left me in August. She met someone else and was keeping him secret for over a year. They shared secret gifts, visits. He lived in Texas, messages, emails and phone calls. He moved to Watertown, New York in November, and I found out he is driving into Canada tomorrow, and he is staying the night at her place. I feel so empty and nauseous inside. It makes my heart race, and I feel as though I'm going to vomit thinking of her with another man. I feel so lost. Looking for some folks in Ontario that maybe I can connect with to try and understand all these feelings I'm going through. Update. 2 years. Still lost. Next month will be 2 years since I, 37M now, found out about my ex-wife 41F now having an affair. Ultimately she left me for him. While I've had some success since then along the way, life still feels so empty. We were 2 months short of celebrating 12 years married and almost 15 years together. At the time, our child was 10. Most things I enjoyed just don't do it for me anymore. I often just stare at nothing for long periods of time, questioning life. I've changed so much since then, trying to find answers, but ultimately I've become so guarded and rather not be around people anymore. To add to the isolation, I'm estranged from my parents, and because I've ended up putting so many barriers and boundaries up, almost everyone in my life is gone, so I've created pure isolation, which is very lonely. And when I try to interact with people, I just struggle. I am an introvert. I've been doing so much to try and stay positive, to move forward. Joined a yoga class, walked away from toxic people, spend a lot of time finding new hobbies, bought a motorcycle, take long walks and go hiking and more. My life went from someone who was competing at an ultra-endurance level, racing in triathlon and ultramarathon, to someone who just stopped all that and had to slow down, basically stop actually. I barely have energy for anything now. I find most of time is cleaning the house, working or listening to music while I rest and sit with my thoughts. My son and I have become closer, I feel, but I know my mental health has suffered majorly. I barely recognize the person I see in the mirror. I've tried dating, which ended up destroying me worse. The woman I dated for a bit ended up struggling with alcohol, which resulted in our end. It brought up so much trauma from my own childhood because my mom and I were victims of alcohol abuse. I think most people look at me as weird, strange, odd, which all adds to my sadness because I can't find genuine people anymore. I went from having a small social circle when I was married to just alone in the world. I do blame myself though for that, because I know I've become so bitter, and the hurt I feel pushes me further away from people and society. I could go on for ages, but with that, I think I'll stop for now. Life just feels so empty after losing my family and the person I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. I can't think of anything more soul-crushing than being cheated on. Second story. GF cheated and I'm lost. Me, 28M, and my GF, 24F, are almost together for 7 years. Around 5 weeks ago I found out she was cheating on me twice with the same dude. We lived together in a house that we bought around 3 years ago. In my perspective, the relationship we had was actually more than fine. Not perfect, we had our things, but in my view none of them were unfixable. Around 4 weeks ago she asked me, on a Friday night, to me this came out of nothing, how I felt about our relationship. I knew she wasn't feeling well because she had issues finding a job she likes. We talked a lot about that and I feel I had given her all the space she needed to sort this out. After all, she has to find it herself. The only thing I can do is offer everything to not obstruct her, right? So the question she asked came as a surprise shock to me. She said she had doubts about our relationship if this really is what she wants. She said she felt emotionally flat, but she couldn't explain to me what the problem was and what she was missing. She later added she was sometimes missing a spark or warm feeling, but she also said that she didn't know if that was a realistic feeling. The week after I was getting the feeling that there's something really wrong. I was searching for answers, but didn't really get any. Only things like I don't know, and the feeling didn't change. I noticed she's on her phone a lot and she's gone a lot with her friends. Besides that, we still bought a new car on Tuesday. Went to the Euro 2024 together on Wednesday, and I booked a surprise dinner at a restaurant at Friday night, so a week later. All these moments felt actually quite nice at the time, although in hindsight, a bit weird. She also said she liked it and we even had sex together, where I honestly thought that it sparked her a bit and that it was getting better. Now, from this point the story is getting really painful. Keep in mind that I was getting more and more suspicious because of her behavior. That Sunday, after we had dinner together, I was chilling in my garden and reading a book. She was planning to go out for lunch with an ex-co-worker female. She was dressed kinda overkill for lunch, but I thought, what the heck? She gave me a goodbye kiss and went off. but then it took way too long before she came back and didn't reply to my messages. If she was driving back, she normally would have called me. I checked her location of her iPhone and she wasn't there. She was 60 kilometers is next to where she said she would be. Of course I knew somewhere what was going on, but I could not imagine she was really doing this. She comes home, gives me a kiss again, and she sits beside me. Meanwhile I'm starting to lose my shit. I decided not to tell her immediately. Instead I tell her that I had a difficult week because I was not getting what was going on in her head. And I asked her take question if there was someone else. Her answer, no, there is no one else. The conversation didn't went well obviously, but we went to bed together, kind of freaking out of losing her. In bed, she crawls next to me gross and she falls asleep immediately. That's when I lost it. After such a difficult conversation you just fall asleep? I took her phone, opened up Snapchat and I saw a snap streak with a guy of 55 days, and she had saved a picture of him under the shower with the exact same address that I saw where her iPhone was, and an added kiss emoji. I'll save the details, but I threw her out of the house, and she hasn't been sleeping here since. The day after her first mention, the guy picked her up at our home. I wasn't home that night. She drove to his place with him for about 1 hour. The days after that were the days that we bought a car, went to the Euro and went out for dinner together. That Thursday she already knew she was going to him for the second time. She destroyed a relationship of 7 years with everything we built together because she needed to investigate what his contact meant to her and to our relationship. Sorry, but that's just the most idiotic thing I've ever heard in my entire life. What do you expect to find? Of course that is more exciting than me. She knows the guy from a night on vacation and she kept the contact after. But since 3 weeks the contact became intimate, at least, so she said. These days are honestly hell on earth and I've never felt so lost and neglected. I feel intensely being spit upon. I am nauseous for 2 weeks even thinking about the fact she thought another guy's dick was more important than me and everything we've been through together. She says she's sorry, but I don't buy it at the moment. I never expected her to able to do this, let alone want it. Her whole family is also shocked that she did this. What the hell should I do? I love her so much, but I also know it's never going to be the same again. How can someone who loves you do this to you? Why the F do you think this is a solution to find out what you feel about me? I'm really doubting to give her another chance. My head says no, but my heart says yes. What should I do? Third story. Am I that bad for dating someone when my wife and I are legally separated because she cheated on me? My wife, 31F, and I, 32M, have been married for 6 years. We have no children. We legally separated last year because I saw a text on my wife's phone to her coworker where she said she felt special when talking to him. My wife admitted she shouldn't have sent that text, and that nothing physical had happened between her and her coworker, but she admitted that text was probably the beginnings of an emotional affair. She was very remorseful about it and really regretful about everything, and she said she'd quit her job and do anything to reconcile. She recommended marriage counseling and even individual therapy for herself. However, I just felt extremely betrayed and really wanted a divorce, but my wife recommended separation for an indefinite period of time to see if my feelings for her could rekindle. I thought about it a lot and ultimately agreed on legal separation. My wife told me she wouldn't see or date anyone during the separation, but I made no such guarantees. I told my wife she was free to do what she wanted, but she still insisted that she wasn't going to even entertain it to prove her love to me. My wife and I then got legally separated, and a couple of months after separation, I started seeing my current partner. We have now been dating for 9 months, and my partner knows about me being legally separated. I didn't really feel the need to tell about my partner to my wife. However, last week, my girlfriend and I were grocery shopping and holding hands, and my wife came up behind me and said hi. She seemed a bit hurt, and just immediately left after saying hi to me. I felt a bit guilty about it, even though I know I shouldn't feel guilty about it and that I'm not doing anything wrong. Later that night, I called my wife and told her everything, and I said we could proceed with divorce if she wanted to. However, my wife was crying and she said no. She said she still wants to give it a shot and that she still believes in us. I know I technically am not the a-hole, but I feel like I am, and am I that bad?